You're listening to a podcast of Real Black Radio with Mike D and Steph Renee. Fridays 11 a.m. till noon on 900 AM WURD and 900 AM WURD.com.
I mean, right now on the line, we have the director. There's a great new film out on DVD and iTunes and on demand.
Okay.
Called Knucklehead, and it played a lot of great festivals, Urban World and New Voices in Black Cinema. Ben Bowman is on the line to discuss.
How's it going, Mike?
Hey, it's good to hear your voice again. We ran into each other. It's a very small world. We have mutual friends in common, and I was so excited to find out that you were responsible for this film that I actually love. It has some of my favorite people in it, Denise. It's got Gbenga Akínàbé and Alfre Woodard and Omari Chisholm, who was in one of my favorite movies that was shot here in Philadelphia, Night Catches Us.
Oh, okay.
So, Ben, what can you tell folks about the film? What's it about?
Yeah, Knucklehead is a story that's set in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, and it's about a guy who has a developmental disorder, and he lives with his mother. He's probably in his early 30s, and he lives with his mother and his brother. His mother's played Gbenga plays the main character Langston, and his mother is played by Alfre Woodard, and Omari plays his brother, who sort of protects him and looks out for him. So he's, it's a tough neighborhood, and he's got kind of a tough life, but he's a really optimistic guy, and he's kind of trying to get an apartment alone with his girlfriend, who no one has ever met, and but who he brags about quite a bit.
Yeah, it's got okay.
Oh, anyway, his brother gets shot, and so he's sort of on his own to figure it out. So he sets out to try his incurable mental disorder by finding the right combination of prescription drugs.
Right, it's a great role for Gbenga. I mean, a lot of people know him as Chris Partlow on The Wire, but he's also been in a lot of great indie projects. Starting with I guess he produced Big Words, which was an Array film, and then also was part of a movie called Home. So it's just great to see him. I mean, how do you get folks like Gbenga Akínàbé and Alfre Woodard involved in your film? This is your first feature.
It started with the script. I wrote the script with my co-writer Brian Abrams, and it was an idea. This idea about this character who had an impossible dream and was sort of burdened with 1,000 burdens, and what would happen if we wrote a character like that who was undeterred in the face of nothing on his side, and we really wrote this script, knowing that we would. There aren't great roles written for a lot of actors of color in the lead, and so we, that was, if you will, is sort of the business plan. Let's write a good part for an actor who, plays the sidekick a lot of the time, or who doesn't have a lot of options for great parts, and get the movie made that way. And we were connected by Paul Schnee, who is also casting director on Spotlight and many other fantastic films, big and small. And Gbenga read the script, and it really spoke to him. And at that point, we had lost some funding and looked like the movie wasn't going to happen. And Gbenga said, "Look, this movie's got to get made, and I want to play this part." And he said, he had some juice at the time, coming right at the end of The Wire. And he said, I'll produce this movie if you'll have me. And, I was a huge fan of him. He's one of our great gifted actors, I think, of our generation. And so we set out getting the movie made that way. And he connected us. He works a lot, and he works with a lot of great people, and he's friends with Alfre, and they were doing a pilot together. And, lamenting the roles that they had to choose from in the makeup trailer, and he said, I got this script, and he convinced her to read it.
All right, well, Ben, I got to go there. Like I interviewed Ben at Urban World on the red carpet, and of course, the first comments are always the most trollish things on our channel. So we people were accusing Ben, I don't want to see this movie. It's white people showing poor black people. This is appropriation. So when you say it was part of your business plan, I mean, I think it's true, that there aren't enough good roles. And if you, and it's sort of like what Charles was saying, if you keep people from being able to tell stories about other cultures, nothing gets done. I mean, what's your feeling, not to make you put you in defense of it, but when people come at you with that?
Well, look, I think whenever you're doing something that's pretty far out of your direct experience, you have to, you really have to sort of consider your role in how you represent people. And, I think that people who watched the film and who've read the script, when Benga and Elfrey read the script, they saw characters that they recognized and knew they could bring life to and set out to do it. This wasn't going to be a big money operation for anybody. It's that pitch. The pitch I just gave you earlier is not Hollywood's dream movie. So we knew we had an uphill battle in terms of just getting the film made. And so when they committed themselves to it, it was because they knew they were going to be working on a passion project that was doing good for the world. I was a little flippant saying business plan, but really it's hard to get any movie made, especially hard to get as a director to get a first feature made. And so to write parts for great actors who don't have a lot of great parts to choose from frequently was of effort to get the film made. If you're writing an action movie that stars a 20-year-old white guy or a 30-year-old white guy, there's a pile of those everywhere. And we ended up making this film independently. We all sort of put our blood and our ducats into it, and that's how it got made. So, I think there is a discussion to be had about that. I think there are some fair criticisms to make of whenever a film is made that's sort of widely outside of the experience of the filmmaker. But I think it also deserves to be watched or to sort of assess the film on its own merits.
No, I think the film works. I watched it again last night, and it has a magic. I mean, you really hit the notes that I felt. I was talking about Collateral Beauty a couple weeks ago. I feel like you hit that balance of sort of magic and mysticism, and really getting inside the character's head a lot better than the bigger budget, movie that does it.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I've seen a couple of big movies out there lately, and small movies that have gotten a lot of attention. It's the time, I guess, critics are making their bones, tearing down folks' films, and I think that that's a good way to get clicks and get page views or whatever. But every movie, no movie was easy to make.
And, of course.
And it's interesting to see what it takes to seeing it from my perspective. I always empathize with the filmmaker, whatever their perspective in almost every case. But I really, I think the thing to think about is, why is the film being made, and who's making it, and what are their goals? And Benga's
right.
a big, obviously, he's a producer on the movie, and very collaborative process.
Yeah, but Ben, I mean, I'm getting there, because I think also, I mean, it touches on, I guess, not necessarily mental illness, but sort of like a developmentally challenged person. These are people that you see all the time if you're on the street, but very seldom do they get opportunities to have their stories told. Now we're seeing your story touches much in the same way we see in Fences, and then
right.
The parallel is with Collateral Beauty. Getting inside the head of somebody who's really suffered some emotional things going on. So,
yeah, and it is. I think our goal with this movie and with the script, when we set out to make the film, was to give a truthful telling of the story of somebody who's in a situation like this. And I think you see a range of treatments of this kind of thing, rarely with a black protagonist, but you do see it out there. Quite a bit especially when you're looking in dramatic films, and a lot of times it's sentimentalized a little bit, or it's it's made humorous, or it's a comedy. But for us, although there's a lot of humor in the film, it was a pretty serious endeavor, and we wanted to, the standard that Benga and Brian and I held ourselves to was to be truthful in every moment in the film while we're telling a compelling story, and people can judge for themselves how well we achieve that.
Hi, this is Denise. Ben.
Hi, Denise.
And my question to you was, because I have my late brother was developmentally disabled, so I kind of look forward to seeing your film based purely on that. But my question for you was, how much research did you have to do, or did you do any research? Did you just observe people, and what, if anything, did you learn from what you saw?
Yeah, the film came out of experiences with people. So there was some, Benga and I specifically did some observation when he was building the character of Langston, which is it's no small feat to portray a character both convincingly and roundly for an actor. It takes some skill to do that, and the good ones like Benga do some homework, and we did together did some observation with some folks so that it would be a faithful performance. But that was after the movie was already going to be made. Before that, when the idea for the script and the idea for the character came from an amalgam of people that I've known in my life and that have been a part of my life. And so we did some research after the fact as we were building the character, director and actor, but beforehand the character was written from a very place of personal knowledge, people that I knew.
Okay, and in terms, because we touched a little bit on cultural appropriation, and I kind of don't see where that necessarily applies here, but I guess how do you avoid that, for want of a better way to put it?
I mean, I think it's a great question, and it's a crucial discussion, and I think that Mike and I have spoken about this a little bit. I think that the problem isn't necessarily appropriation. The problem is exploitation. So when are you taking someone's cultural experience and sort of personal cultural experience and turning that into something that's exploitative? And I think that's the line that all filmmakers and all people who are making media for a wider audience have a responsibility to consider. And that, I think that, it's sensitive. It's a particularly sensitive issue when it's a white filmmaker making a film about black people. But I think that all filmmakers of all colors and all backgrounds have to consider that when they're entering into that. And I think by that measure we do very well with this film because we kept our standard to be truthful and to tell a story that rung true for people.
Yeah, and it's played at multiple festivals, and it was picked up by a black-owned company, RLJ Entertainment. So, I mean, folks can. Well, where can folks find this movie? So Bob Johnson's company, RLJ, is the distributor. It streams on the Urban Movie Channel, urbanmoviechannel.com. You can access it. If you have Amazon Prime, you can search for Knucklehead and it will come up, and you can get a free trial of Urban Movie Channel that way, so it's easy to watch that way. And then you can also buy it on iTunes. You can purchase it on Amazon for download, and it's available on DVD. Right.
Everywhere.
So for those listening, you have no excuse not to experience Knucklehead. I give it high marks. Really enjoy it, and just amazing, job with the cast, and I just want everybody to see it. So I really appreciate you taking the time to call in, and hopefully we can get you to come down and show the film for folks here in Philly.
Would love to come and do a Philly screening, and really appreciate having me on and having a chance to speak with both of you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
And we'll be back with more of Real Black Radio on the Mid-Morning Mojo after this.
You've been listening to a podcast of Real Black Radio with Mike D and Steph Renee. Fridays 11 a.m. till noon on 900 AM WURD.
And
900AMWURD.com. Follow us on your favorite social media like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for up-to-date information at 900AMWURD and at Real Black.